Have you ever had like an obligation, an appointment, something that you had to do later in the day and you have to think about it constantly up until the moment it happens? And then usually afterwards everything's fine, like you just go back to normal, everything's cool. That is every single movie on this list. Good evening, campers, streamers, and babysitters, and welcome back to another disturbing list. Yes, the Never Watch Again series is something that you guys have loved and supported. Actually, the first video in that series is our most popular video on the channel, so thank you so much for that. And instead of just diving into another installment, I kind of thought, what if I took a twist to this? What if we decided to look at not movies that I wouldn't necessarily rewatch? You know, these are movies that I actually like a lot, but they all have one particular moment, one specific scene that I would prefer not to re-experience. And as is standard with the Never Watch Again series, these are my personal picks, so don't come in here expecting all traditional disturbing scenes. Yes, I know we have Serbian film, we have all these other things. I make tons of videos talking about that stuff, so go watch those. These ones are unsettling, unnerving. Just trust me. Let's get into it. Kicking things off in my number 5 spot, I gotta go with a scene straight out of 2013's Under the Skin. A mysterious young woman seduces lonely men in the evening hours of Scotland. However, events lead her to begin a process of self-discovery. I feel like I make an excuse to point this out in just about every video, but yes, I'm a dad, I have a 3-year-old son, and it's one of those things where movies that involve children, especially disturbing sequences that involve children, they tend to hit me a lot harder and mess me up a lot more. But Under the Skin, I saw this movie long before I was a parent, and I did not need to experience fatherhood to really let this one just knock me in the teeth. And if you're familiar with the film at all, then it is no shock to you that I am, of course, selecting the beach sequence. At a beach, the woman attempts to pick up a swimmer, but is interrupted by the cries of a drowning couple attempting to rescue their dog. As the dog is pulled out to sea, the swimmer rescues the husband, but the husband rushes back into the waters attempting to save his poor wife from drowning. As the swimmer lies exhausted on the beach, the woman strikes his head with a rock and then proceeds to drag him across the beach up to her van and drive away, ignoring the couple's distraught, now orphaned baby. I'll tell you, I rewatched this sequence before sitting down to record this video, and I honestly had this written down and completely forgot about the conclusion, because it's not too long after that we see another character who is presumably an alien trying to track down Scarlett Johansson, shows up to this beach. Only this time it's night, it has been hours, and he goes out there basically just tracking Scarlett Johansson, and obviously she was there. The parents are still gone, they're definitely dead, and the baby is sitting there in the darkness, screaming, crying. It's just, it's fucking devastating. There's a real coldness to this movie. It's throughout the entire film, and this scene, I think, completely captures it and bottles it in just a perfect summation of a few minutes. Like, you watch this and you just see the cold turn of indifference. Nobody gives a fuck about this baby. It's haunting. It really is. It's something that you honestly have to watch and experience all the way through, I think, to fully get the gut punch that that child is just left there in the dark, has no idea where it's at, has no way of defending itself, just screaming in the cold in Scotland, just in the dark. Honestly, the first time I watched it, I just paused the movie. I paused it, and I took a breather. I walked, I did a bunch of other stuff, I think, and I remember I came back to this one later. And yeah, there's a few more interesting and rough scenes. Again, I think that from like a science fiction, like kind of a cosmic entity horror film, like Under the Skin's great. Like it definitely sets out and achieves what it's trying to do. But like, yeah, it does it a little too well in some places. And the beach scene is a prime example of just that. All right, I get it. If the first pick there was too bleak, too subtle, not enough pizzazz for you when it comes to your aliens and your disturbing horror, trust me, because number 4 here, it's going to satisfy that itch. Because yes, I'm talking about, of course, 1993's Fire in the Sky. An Arizona logger mysteriously disappears for 5 days in an alleged encounter with a flying saucer in 1975. His co-workers endure ridicule and contempt as they are wrongly accused of murder. Talk about like just swinging completely left here. We are in a completely different zone than we were with Under the Skin. Yes, because there is nothing subtle about Fire in the Sky when it comes to how it portrays aliens and what they do. Although I will say Under the Skin is definitely a bit more gruesome, a bit more violent. They're a lot more exploratory, I guess you would say, in this one. Because yes, the scene that I am of course covering is going to be the experiment scene, the kind of, I guess you'd say, probing scene. They're checking them out, you know, they're doing some weird shit to them, and it's uncomfortable. Like, I don't know, man, like for a movie that impressively, there's like no blood and there's nothing like too overly explicit shown. This is just a scene that like makes my skin crawl and just makes me want to like rip my eyes from my skull in so many different ways. Walton awakens inside a slimy cocoon. After breaking out of its membrane, a bewildered Walton finds himself adrift in a zero-gravity alien environment, inside what looks to be a cylindrical enclosure. It quickly became clear to Walton that the walls were covered in other cocoon-like containers. While struggling in the low gravity, he accidentally breaches a nearby cocoon, horrified to discover that it contains decomposing human remains. Exploring further, he drifts towards a neighboring area, seeing several humanoid figures below him. Drifting uncontrollably toward them, he investigates, surmising that the immobile figures are in fact spacesuits, one of which is still occupied by an extraterrestrial creature. Walton attempts to escape but is apprehended by not one but 2 aliens who drag him down a corridor. Arriving in the examination chamber, the aliens hold the struggling Walton to a platform in the center of the chamber, stripping him of his clothes and covering him with an elastic material that completely restrains him. Despite Walton's terrified screams, the aliens clinically subject him to a torturous experiment in which a gelatinous substance is forced into his mouth. A tube is inserted down his throat, his jaw is locked open, and a device is stabbed into his neck. Overhead equipment then begins lowering towards him as a needle-like ocular probe extends towards his exposed eye. Walton suddenly reawakens from this flashback, back in the doctor's office. And I applaud them for this. Not only are the special effects still holding up still really well, but the performance is really shocking. I mean, this scene, it's a tough watch. I think anybody who has any kind of fear of like doctors or surgery, if any of that ever makes you uncomfortable, this will certainly get under your skin. It's something that, as much as I enjoy the lore of this movie, it's not something that I'm gonna like ride home and say you absolutely need to seek out. It's a pretty decent movie. But I gotta say, this scene, it just takes the cake as far as just making you uncomfortable and really giving you kind of the classic, but completely unsheathed, completely unfeathered, uncensored version of what happens, presumably, when we are abducted by aliens. If you were a gorehound and you've stuck with me this long. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for bearing with me through my last 2 picks, because number 3 is certainly going to be much more up your alley and a bit more of what I think people have come to expect from disturbing cinema lists. Because yes, we are talking about none other than 1999's Audition. A widower has his film producer friend organize a fake audition as a means of helping him find a new girlfriend, but the woman he selects is not who she appears to be. I know it wasn't that long ago that we talked about Takashi Miike on the channel already with Ichi the Killer, but can you blame me? This dude has like so many movies, like we're barely even scratching the surface. I think we can let this one slide. Because yes, Audition is certainly, if not, dare I say, my favorite, it's definitely top 3 of Takashi Miike's filmography. I mean, this guy absolutely just goes 180 in a different direction than he was with Ichi the Killer. Ichi the Killer is zany, it's weird, it's wild, it's crazy. Audition is very serious, very uplifting at times, very, very somber, and it's got one fucking gruesome ass torture scene. I think the brilliance of Audition, and believe me, I'm not the first person to point this out or say this, is that this is a movie that just really takes its time. It's a slow burn, making you really feel for our lead character here. I mean, he's a widower, he's got his son, it's just those two, and you can see that, like, he's a genuine guy who's mourning the loss of his true love, and I really respect that. I feel like oftentimes in movies especially, people move on so quickly, but like for this guy, he's been, you know, just him and his son for 7 years, and it's his son actually who brings up the idea of, hey, maybe it's time to go find somebody new. And yeah, it's a Takashi Miike movie, so there's gonna be some very odd, weird twists of fate and things that they do to basically facilitate these meetings. I mean, just the whole concept of auditioning women to basically be a wife, a suitor. I know that's kind of a thing in some cultures, but like, it's just very odd to me in my American brain. And as our story is kind of bobbed and weaved and we've seen some very strange things, our widower comes to the reality, kind of starts to face the truth that the woman that he's after, Asame, she is not who he thought she was. When Shigeharu wakes up, Asame informs him he's been injected with a paralytic agent that disables his muscles but leaves him conscious and able to feel. She then begins to torture him with acupuncture needles. She tells him that, just like everyone else, he has failed to love only her. She cannot tolerate his feelings for anyone else, even his own son. She begins by inserting needles into his abdomen and below his eyes. She then proceeds to cut off his left foot with a wire saw. To make matters worse, as she is halfway through cutting off his foot, Shigeharu's son returns home from school and Asame attacks him. Shigeharu appears to suddenly wake up back in the hotel, his current ordeal apparently just a nightmare, though this is actually a false awakening. He proposes marriage to Asame, who accepts as he falls back asleep. He returns to reality to find his son fighting Asame. His son manages to overpower her and kick her down the stairs, breaking her neck. Shigeharu tells his son to call the police and stares across the room at the dying Asame, who repeats what she said on one of their dates about her excitement over seeing him again. In all reality, this is a very famous scene. This is something that many people have talked about, but it had to be something I was going to mention at some point. And yes, this is something that, even though I do enjoy this movie and I do consider it one of his best, I cannot lie that, especially if I'm listening to this with headphones or I'm watching it at my computer here, having to hear the sounds of that saw just ripping through it, and then again, her just kind of explaining all this gruesome stuff to a pretty reasonable and well-meaning dude, it sucks. It's a tough watch, but it is a very entertaining movie with a lot of great twists and turns. I highly recommend checking out Audition if you can stomach the torture. Moving right along into my number 2 pick, and yes, I have to admit, this one's a little bit personal. We covered it not too long ago on a previous list, but some of you were not satisfied with my pick, so I figured I would satisfy the masses and take another trip down the rabbit hole that is 2008's Martyrs. A young woman's quest for revenge against the people who kidnapped and tormented her as a child leads her and her friend, who is also a victim of child abuse, on a terrifying journey into a living hell of depravity. Like I said as I was teeing this up, we covered this not too long ago on my disturbing scenes list. Yes, the one where I broke them down into categories. If you have not checked that list out, it is annotated right here on screen for you, as well as it'll be one of my recommended videos at the end. But yeah, I chose the shotgun scene, the scene where the family gets basically blown to pieces over breakfast. And you know, a lot of you guys got what I was going for. It was an impactful opening. It really got things moving. It was kind of a shock to the system to really get an otherwise very disturbing and very, very gruesome movie going. But some of you were not happy. You guys wanted me to talk about the bathtub scene. And yes, that is clearly a disturbing scene. But I thought, personally, is this a scene that, isn't it more honoring to put it on something that, like, it's so visceral, so extreme that I would never watch it again? Let's find out. While Anna is on the phone with her estranged, abusive mother, she discovers a secret passageway in the home's living room, leading to a subterranean chamber containing illuminated photographs of torture and a living, brutalized, emaciated woman. Anna attempts to help the woman, who is hysterical and unable to speak. After getting the woman into a bath, Anna attempts to remove the steel blindfold that has been stapled into the woman's skull. We are then subjected to watching Anna pull out every single staple. And once the visor falls, the woman shrieks in further agony, as this could be the first time she's seen light in days. Lastly, Anna covers the woman's face with a towel and helps her finish the bath. I mean, I can't sit here and do very much justice when I'm just explaining that, because, like, really, it's the whole concoction. It's the whole everything. This movie has been nothing but a non-stop, just like, shotgun blast, literally, from the beginning, and you've just kind of been going from awful, terrible, no good, really bad bullshit ever since the film started. And this, honestly, it's not even the worst part. Like, there's worse scenes, but, like, God, the torture that this woman has gone through and just how long we sit with her. This is like an uninterrupted, probably 6-minute scene, and you gotta watch her try to help her pry this thing off. And the worst part is once she gets it off and you see all of just her emaciated face freed, you're both thrilled but also horrified, because this doesn't look to be a human underneath. This is something much darker. Something has taken hold or transformed, or in a lot of cases, something has left this physical body. And yeah, that's only some of the horrors that lie for us in the movie Martyrs. So again, if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it, but I definitely say go in knowing all that you can, prepare yourself, because Martyrs is no joke. This scene especially is one that I really don't like to revisit. And folks, well, that leaves us with only one more selection. And yes, the movie that I'm going to talk about today is one that I have had such a journey with when it came to this movie. I was kind of put off by it when it was first announced. I didn't necessarily know how I felt, being a huge fan of the original. And I gotta say, when I finally got around to seeing it, I was very impressed. It is a remake that in and of itself is a completely different animal than the film it's remaking. And of course, those of you in the know already have an idea of what I'm talking about, and that is 2018's Suspiria. A darkness swirls at the center of a world-renowned dance company, one that will engulf the artistic director, an ambitious young dancer, and a grieving psychotherapist. Some will succumb to the nightmare, others will finally wake up. So like I said, this was a movie that I was a little meh about when it came out. I wasn't sure how to feel like Suspiria. I mean, it's one of those movies that when you talk about giallo horror, it's easily one of the biggest. It's one of the best. It's one of the ones that everybody always points to when they talk about just like folklore, witchy kind of stuff and how, you know, it impacted a lot of horror cinema going forward. I mean, Suspiria is cited as some of the biggest modern horror directors, one of their favorite influences to pull from. So yeah, it's kind of one of those movies. I wouldn't say it's on like the Jaws level of saying you can't remake it, but it definitely felt weird when this got announced. And unfortunately for myself, Luca Guadagnino was somebody I had not seen any of their work yet. Call Me By Your Name had just come out, and I was still kind of, you know, working my way to it. There were a lot of movies circa 2017, 18. So yeah, color me shocked when I finally got around to watching this and just how good this movie is. It's such a different animal through and through than the first, well, I guess the original Suspiria. I mean, just not only with its runtime being like an hour and a half longer than the original, it's one of those things where it's like they just expand so much with even more characters, even more lore, and really it doesn't lose the spirit and the heart of what I think makes this story scary, and that is at the center of our number one disturbing scene here. During rehearsal, a Soviet student, Olga, becomes indignant towards Madame Blanc and storms out of the studio. A frustrated Olga attempts to escape with her belongings, but finds herself trapped alone in a room lined with mirrors. Madame Blanc, meanwhile, resumes the rehearsal, during which Susie performs an aggressive dance. Her movements begin to physically afflict Olga, ravaging her body and damaging both her organs and bones, turning her into what many have coined as a human pretzel. Later, several of the Academy's matrons drag Olga's mangled body away with large hooks. I mean, Jesus Christ, it is probably 5 minutes of just watching Olga be thrown from side to side, slammed up and down, twisted, contorted. I mean, there's even so many little details of how she breaks ruptures that as the scene continues, you see the makeup and the prosthetics being applied, like not physically seeing it, but you know, they're adding up and you just see all the damage internally, just as much as you see externally. It's very fascinating, but I think that's also why it unsettles me so much, because it is something I'm not really all that used to seeing. Usually, when it comes to people being contorted, twisted, you know, messed up, they really just go right for the ripping of the flesh and the blood and everything, and it's a lot of splatter. It can be rough, but, you know, I'm used to it. With this, it's the fact that there's just so much resistance to the blood. There's so much pullback. It's so much more of the visceral dismantlement of the human body in front of us. It is very, very serious and very haunting stuff. I mean, right down to her being twisted up so badly that she pees herself and she starts drooling. You just see all of this, like, spits and drool just come protruding from her mouth, and it's almost worse than blood, in my opinion. It's the embarrassment aspect, because nobody likes to pee on themselves. Nobody likes to soil themselves. There's that on top of the pain, on top of just the pure shock of what the hell is happening? How is this happening? It makes for one banger of a memorable scene. It is one that I didn't even need to rewatch it to recite all that, and I will get plenty of it when I watch it, because again, just like all these picks, really where I think the keys come down to is how much we care for the character, and the big piece with any horror movie is the sound design, because I've said it multiple times, the sound of suffering, the sound of grinding, priming, pulling, pincing, it's all of that is what really sells these uncomfortable moments and ultimately makes this scene, just like the rest of these, a scene that it makes me think twice before putting on Suspiria 2018, because yeah, these are just sequences I really don't like to watch. Well, we've done it again, folks. We are here at the end of another disturbing list. Thank you so much if you've made it this far into the video. If you're sticking here to let me ramble at you for the last couple of minutes, I appreciate it as always. Again, like I said at the beginning, this was just a twist on an otherwise very well-worn concept here on the channel. But if you guys like it and you'd want to see me cover more scenes, there's certainly tons and tons of disturbing scenes that make me think twice before watching a movie. Again, although I love all of these movies, I can say they are scenes that definitely will get under your skin, and if they don't, you know, at least do that for you, hopefully I'm at least introducing you to some pretty good movies. And just as a quick aside for anybody who may be new to the channel, hi, how's it going? Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you liked it enough to hit that like button, hit that hype button, and if you feel that I deserve it and you want to see what we got coming up next, please hit that subscribe button and join the Splattercast community. As well as if you'd like to see this video again, or you want to watch this thing completely uncut, as well as most of our other disturbing content, you can find that on our Patreon. There's a link down below. For $3 a month, you get access to fully uncut, uncensored episodes. But other than that, guys, that's all I got for you. Christmas is right around the corner. As when this video comes out, I didn't have any Christmas stuff going on, but December to Dismember is about to kick off, so look forward to that. We got lots of fun stuff, another top 10 list on the way for you guys there. And that's going to wrap it up here for me. So until next time, I'm Dylan Newell. And remember, stay scared.
More shit gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live.